Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. The Quran speaks of the opening and closing of the heavens and the earth, the stretching and withdrawal of shadow, and the rolling up of the sky like a scroll. What symbolic meaning lies behind these expressions? I'm Hassan Moradi, and in this episode of Echoes of the Quran, I will explore this question. In previous video, we discussed how a spirit was sent to Mary and breathed into her, bringing to exist the spirit of Jesus in a manner similar to Adam. This same spirit, once fully gathered through tabaffi, turns upward. The Quran also describes Jesus shaping a bird from clay and by breathing into it give it life. This example illustrates a pattern. The spirit of a human or an animal descends from the realm of command, alamul amr, into the realm of creation, alamul khalq, and then ascends back to its higher origin. On a large scale, this same process of descent and ascent of divine governance unfolding and then returning applies to the heavens and the earth. To clarify this, we previously used the analogy of creating a human being within our own imagination. Both the body we imagine and the spirit we assign to it are simply degrees of our own mind. By establishing boundaries and existential containers within our consciousness and by manifesting within those domains, we can generate beings with varying degrees of knowledge, power, and other attributes. At the cosmic level, the heavens and the earth initially exist in a state of closure, ratq, comparable to a flat, two-dimensional blueprint of Lego's structure. They then enter a state of opening, fatq, like a fully assembled three-dimensional Lego world. Only after this cosmic structure is formed does the spirit get breathed into it. The Quran expresses this breathing of spirit through terms such as the casting of a word or the descent of the divine command. This infusion of spirit animates the cosmos. Every level of existence becomes alive according to its own capacity. Elements, planets, animals, humans, and all other beings possess degrees of awareness and power. In the Quranic worldview, everything is alive in the sense that everything glorifies God, and glorification without knowledge is meaningless. In symbolic language, water represents this knowledge and power, for the Quran states that the divine throne rests upon water. A throne is a locus of governance and decision-making, and such governance is grounded in knowledge. This existential sequence is clearly reflected in the verse أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَنَّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ كَانَتَا رَتْقًا فَفَتَقْنَاهُمَا وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ, verse 30 of Al-Anbiya. The Quran describes this divine act of opening and closing the cosmos in other ways as well. One of the most striking metaphors is the stretching and withdrawal of shadow. A shadow, like a sign, ayah, points to something beyond itself, the object that casts it. It is an ideal metaphor for illustrating the dependent nature of the world. A shadow is a non-entity that indicates an entity. The Quran beautifully expresses this. Have you not considered how your Lord extends the shadow? If he willed, he could have made it still. Then we make the sun its guide. أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ كَيْفَ مَدَّ الظِّلَّ وَلَوْ شَاءَ لَجَعَلَهُ سَاكِنًا ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَا الشَّمْسَ عَلَيْهِ دَلِيلًا, verses 45 of Al-Furqan. The verse continues, then we draw it back to ourselves with an easy withdrawal. ثُمَّ قَبَضْنَاهُ إِلَيْنَا قَبْضًا يَسِيرًا, 46th of Al-Furqan. On the day of resurrection, the day when creation returns to its creator, the seven earths will be gathered in his grasp and the heavens will be rolled up in his right hand like a scroll. وما قدر الله حق قدره والأرض جميعا قبضته يوم القيامة والسماوات مطويات بيمينه سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون. Notice that the imaginary of rolling up applies only to the heavens, not the earth. If we understand the heavens as the unseen inner dimensions of reality and the earth as the visible outward realm, then the meaning becomes clear. The inner blueprint of the cosmos, like the design in the mind of a potter, can be unfolded and refolded repeatedly into new material forms. The inner realm opens and closes but does not change. The outer realm changes with each manifestation. This is why the Quran attributes newness to the word of creation, يَأْتَ بِخَلْقٍ جَدِيدٍ, not to the word of command. Another verse uses the same metaphor of rolling up a scroll. On the day when we roll up the heavens like the rolling of a scroll for writings, as we began the first creation, we shall repeat it. يَوْمَ نَطْوِي السَّمَاءَ كَطَيِّ السِّجِلِّ الْكُتُبِ كَمَا بَدَأْنَا أَوَّلَ خَلْقٍ نُعِيدُهُ وَعْدًا عَلَيْنَا إِنَّا كُنَّا فَاعِلِينَ. 104 of Al-Anbiya. Alongside the opening and closing of the entire cosmos, the Quran also speaks of the opening and closing of particular aspect of law of life, such as the book of an individual or community. Even within a single human life, states such as wealth and health expands and contract. God withholds and grants abundance, and to him you will return. من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه له أضعافا كثيرة والله يقبض ويبسط وإليه ترجعون. 245 of Al-Baqarah. Thus, all of existence on both macrocosmic and microcosmic level is in a continual state of contraction and expansion. Everything moves from the unity toward multiplicity and then returns from multiplicity to unity. On the macro level, this applies to the heavens and the earth. On the micro level, it applies to the body of every human, animal, and planet, which moves from a closed state, seeds, embryo, to an open state, grows, manifestation, and then returns to a closed state within itself. Even intellectual and spiritual capacities follow this pattern. The potential for speech is a closed state, while speaking is an open state. Intuitive, existential knowledge is a closed state, while conceptual, analytical knowledge is an open state. In two verses describing the sacred valley where Moses encountered God, the name Ṭuwā appears, a term associated with the verb Ṭuwā, meaning to roll up into a scroll. The sacredness of this valley signifies its elevation above the ordinary world of creation. Thus Moses, like every prophet and mystic, is instructed to remove his sandals, symbolically distancing himself from the earthly realm, and ascends into a higher domain, the place where the scrolls and archetypes of human and societal destinies reside. May we too one day remove our earthly sandals and enter the sacred valley. Thank you for being here.